Hi friends, welcome to episode number 28 of our procurement and sourcing series. In this episode, we will discuss in detail about broker contract management capabilities in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operation. With that note, let's quickly jump into today's topic. So first, let's understand the fundamental definition for broker contract management. Broker contract management helps companies better manage their broker agreements by automating tasks that are involved in administering, tracking, and paying the fees that are due to brokers. So, who is a broker, first of all, in the entire supply chain, where they fit in? So, let's understand like this. Imagine that you are working in an organization, USMF. USMF is the legal entity which is available in the demo data and which is supplying Surface Pro laptops to customer Qantas or retail. But the orders which are secured from the customer Qantas or retail are not directly with the help of the organization USMF sales representatives, but it is they are actually secured through the help of a broker who helps in getting these orders from Qantas or retail, and then those orders are routed to the organization USMF. Since the broker helps in getting these orders, the broker is eligible for a commission or a fee. End of the day, these orders are routed through the brokers, and hence the organization USMF is liable to pay the commission for the broker in order to process these orders with the customer Qantas or retail. So that's where the broker comes into picture in case of contract management in the entire supply chain. So these broker contract management will help you to manage the contract agreements which you have actually signed with the brokers who actually help you in fetching the orders from the customers. So that's why we have mentioned here, hence they are eligible for a commission fee since they help you to secure the orders from the customers. So in this video, we will try to follow the process flow because looking at the flow chart, this might sound bit lengthy, but you do not need to worry about this. But first, you need to make sure that you create the contact for the broker as a vendor in the system. So this first step we are not going to do right now because creating a vendor account is something which we are not going to discuss. But make sure that we are going to use an existing vendor in the system and make sure, and when we are conferring the contract, we are going to add the existing vendor. So the broker has to be an existing vendor in the system. Second step is to configure the broker charge codes. So we have already discussed in detail about the charge codes capability as part of our procurement and sourcing series. Please do check out the charge codes before coming back to this particular topic. And also I will strongly recommend you to check the vendor rebate session because creating a broker contract is something similar to creating a vendor rebate agreement. So if you have checked that episode and then if you come back to this, it will be easy for you to understand. So, and we are going to start off with the third step in the process flow. So first you need to create a broker as a vendor in the system. Next, configure the charge code. And then third is to parameterize the journals which you are going to use as part of processing these broker claims. So let's get into Dynamics 365. In order to parameterize this, the brokers and royalties is a section which is available under accounts payable. Collapse all. There is a menu item called broker and loyalties. So this is where we will be configuring the broker contracts and process the claims. But in order to parameterize the journals, if you go to setup and accounts payable parameters, so there is a menu item called broker and royalties. So in this video, we are discussing only about the broker. If you have seen our episode regarding the vendor rebate, this is something which is similar to that, where first one is the option to post the differential journal. What is the journal name which is used to post the differential amount? I will quickly touch upon as we progress in this video. And then we need to tag a expense account. So this is the expense journal name. So this is the journal which will be used to post the expense account voucher based on the journal whatever we have tagged. And this is similar to the manual posting option which we have in the vendor rebate, where once this is enabled, then every time we need to go ahead and manually post the rebate claims. So I will keep it as disabled so that the vendor brokerage claims are automatically posted. And you can also create a separate procurement category for processing these commissions and rebates. By default in USMF, we have the commissions and rebates is a category which is created. I'm not going to disturb that. But the whole idea is you need to create a journal name and tag the journal. Let me click on view details, go to the master. So you need to create a journal name and tag the journal names which need to be used for posting your expense journal and also the differential journal. As of now, I'm not going to explain in detail about the differential journal, but as we progress in this video, you will understand about this. So this is the first setup. Make sure that you configure the journal name in the accounts payable parameter. And let us go back to the slide. Um, Yep. So here now, if you see, once if you parameterize the journals, then next step is to check and confirm next step is to register the negotiated broker contract. So the process starts off with creating these broker contracts in the system. So let me go back to the Dynamics 365 screen. Um, so here, if you go to broker and royalties, we need to, after having those negotiations with the broker, hey, you give me this amount of orders in a month or in an annual year, and then I am willing to pay you a certain percent based on certain percent or a fixed amount. What is that the agreement which we have negotiated with the brokers? So that's what we will be configuring in the broker contracts. This is something which is similar to vendor rebate agreements. So let me click on new. So to create a new contract, by default, we will have the status called planning, and there are four possible statuses in the broker contracts. Planning means the system we are registering a broker contract. Approved is or those contracts which are eligible for broker claims. If the broker contract is not in the approved state, then you cannot generate claims in the sales order. And if it is cancelled, of course it will not be considered in your sales order. And if it is closed, the broker contract for that particular financial is closed, and none of the claims will be processed based on the same. So if you want to process the broker contracts, then make sure that your status is always in the approved. So there are no separate workflows as part of the broker contracts, but whenever we create any new broker contracts, by default the status will be planning. You need to manually go and change the status to approved. So you can also provide a number series, but let's say I will try to use the same format, 004. So let's say this is the broker contract ID, and let's say this is the broker contract which we are using for Acme Office Supply. So let's say Acme Office Supply is helping us in terms of securing the orders from Contoso Retail. Office Supply fee, Acme Office Supply fees. And here we need to capture the broker vendor. So that's why I said before creating this contract, you need to create that broker as a vendor in the system. So let's imagine that Acme Office Supply is the broker for whom we have created the contract in the system. So vendor account is available there, and you can capture the from date and to date for which this broker contract is eligible. So let me capture for an year. Let's say this broker contract is eligible for an year, and then we need to capture the charge codes. Why we capture the charge codes? Because using these charge codes, the expense will be posted, accrued, and posted in the interim account. So we are not going to create a new charge code, but I think already in the demo data we have a charge code called BR01 broker fees. So here you can see that it is getting posted into the ledger account 606800 and credited in a broker fee. Make sure that the posting is in a broker fee, and even if you want, you can debit it as part of a specific customer account and credit it as part of the ledger account. So in this case, the demo data, the posting happens in both the cases in a ledger account. That's fine. We will see how it gets accrued when we actually invoice the sales order. So make sure that first you need to create a charge code. So I will go and assign the same charge code, and let's say so you can do this as part of pieces. For each and every quantity, do you want to calculate this charge, or it is a fixed percent as part of the overall amount, or do you want a fixed value, fixed amount which gets irrespective of the quantity or amount? So let's say if I take the value as percent, and put a charge of, let's say the broker is eligible for 2% whenever I get an order from Contoso Retail, and then let me save this. So this is the first step, creating the broker contract, and then you need to add the line for which are all the products this broker contract, whether they are eligible for all the items or for a specific item. So we need to select a table in this case in order to select a specific item. Let's say that is a Surface Pro laptop, or this is broker is eligible for securing orders from all our customers or for a specific customers. In that case, let me select a specific customer, Contoso Retail. Then the charge code is say the same BR01, and the break type is can be of quantity or amount. Break type means the moment we give a break type quantity as let's say as 10, until unless the broker gives me an order of 9, he is not eligible for any broker commission. Only if he gives me an order of 10 from Contoso Retail, from the customer Contoso Retail, then only he is eligible for this commission fee, 10 or more. So you can also have this configuration based on the amount or based on the quantity. So that is percent, he is eligible for 2%. And if you want to tag any specific sales tax group, then that's also possible. So this is how you configure a broker contract. Let me save this. And after saving this, make sure that if we want to activate this, we need to move this contract from the status of planning to approved. So this is a manual step. So there is no separate workflow currently available in the Dynamics 365. So you need to make sure that you are changing the status from planning to approved. Then only this is activated. You can see once it is approved, these all will be disabled. At any point in time, you can change it to planning also. So that is also possible. So now I'm turning it to approved, and then let me save this. So this broker contract is created. Let me go back to the slide. So here now you can see that. So we have created, registered, and negotiated a contract with the Acme Office Supplies. So every order which they secure and give it to us from the Contoso Retail, they are eligible for 2% broker commission. And now what we have to do is, let's say they have secured an order for 10 quantities of Surface Pro laptop. Now we need to create a sales order for the for that particular customer. Let's go back to Dynamics 365. Let me go to sales and marketing. So I will create a sales order, all sales orders. Yeah, click on new. Then let me select the customer account, Contoso Retail, San Diego. So this is the customer account which you have selected. Say site, warehouse. This is fine. Then let me click on OK. So we have created a new sales order. Let me add the item number, Surface Pro laptop, and let's keep the quantity as 1. Let me save this sales order. Under sales order line section, if you go scroll down, there is an option called broker commission. So here we can check whether the particular line is eligible for a broker commission or not. So for order quantity 1, it is not eligible. But let's say if I increase the quantity to 9, and then let me save this, still the order line is not eligible for the broker commission. Let me go to broker commissions. Still it is not eligible where the claim is not generated. Now let me increase the quantity to 10. Now the broker is eligible for 2% claim against this order of 10 quantity. Let me go to sales order line. Now again click on broker commission. Now you can see the broker commission got generated. But in this case, you can see for this particular customer, the customer is eligible for two different claims, which means for a vendor account 1002 Landy Packaging Supplies, which means already there is a configuration for a different vendor account. So that's the reason system has picked. And for the Landy Packaging Supplies also, for whom, let's duplicate this tab and check that also whether there is a configuration for Landy Office packaging. And then you can also see there is a 2% claim. The total value of the sales order is $1,900. So 2% of that is 380. So that's why we see a commission value of 380 got generated. And in another tab, I just duplicated the tab. So let me check whether there is a broker contract which is in active state. Broker contract. Okay, so I can see there is a broker contract which is in the approved state. And this is also for the same customer. So that's the reason system has generated two claims. But still, let me go ahead and disable this. I will keep it in the planning state. Let me save this. Let me go to another tab. So once again, what I will do is I'll change the quantity from 10 to 20. Okay, then let me save this. Now the whole idea is we should see only the commission applicable for Acme office supplies and not for Landy office supplies, Landy packaging supplies. Let me go to broker commission. Yeah, great. So you can now see only the broker account, which is Acme Office Supplies, for which the charge value eligible is 760 because so let me go back and here the total value is 38,000 and 2% of that is 760. So that's how the broker commission got generated. So now you can see the total value is $760, which we are liable to pay to the broker. So now we will follow the traditional process of sales order. We need to confirm the sales order and then process the picking list, posting the packing slip. So instead of doing all those, I will directly go ahead and invoice the sales order. Let me go to invoice. So when we process this invoice at this point in time, the overall charge value which is supposed to be paid to the vendor is accrued and posted against a specific expense account. So I will quickly show that to you also. Let's say I will process this invoice directly. Click on OK. So this will post the sales order invoice. So we are not going through the process of picking, packing slip, posting and all. So because the whole idea is to focus on the broker contract. So you can see the status is invoiced. So now if I go to the inventory and transactions, we can see that the ledger and voucher, we go to ledger, physical voucher, yeah, or the financial voucher. So here you can see it is now posted, the $760 is posted against a specific royalty and brokerage accrual, and also you can see it is the expense account. So you can very well see this is the expense account which we have in the charge code. Let me show you in the other tab. So if I go to account receivables, charges, charge codes, for broker fee, if you see, this is the debit account which we have actually configured. So in the other tab, if I go to voucher, so you can see this is the debit account, and you can also see this is the credit account. So you can see broker 200 is the credit account which we have configured. So the system temporarily posts this in the expense account, and once when we process the claim and approve the claim, it gets debited from this expense account and gets credited into the vendor account. So that becomes a payable for the vendor, so that we need to pay the $760 to the vendor account. So that's what we will see right now. So first part is we have posted the sales order, invoiced it. When we invoiced it, the charges are posted into the accrual and the expense account. And the next part right now, what we will say is we will generate the claims and process the claims. Once the claim is processed, then this value will be debited from this expense account and credited into the vendor account, and a vendor invoice will be generated. So we are liable to pay the broker the $760. So let me go back to the presentation. So here, that's what we were discussing. So we have created a sales order and generated the broker, and now we need to check, and we actually checked and confirmed the broker claims in the sales order also under the sales order line broker commission, where we actually able to check and confirm the claims. And now the next step is we need to approve and settle the broker claims. In order to do that, let me go back to the slide. Sorry, the Dynamics 365 screen. So the same accounts payable section under broker royalties, then first we created the contract, process the sales order. Now we need to process the claims. Let's go to broker claims. So here we can see the broker claim which got generated. So this is the $760 value which generated against the customer account. And even though we have multiple, you have options to filter it based on open, all, closed, or with respect to a specific broker, you can do that. So this is the broker account, right? So 1001 is the Acme office supplies, against which where we have only one claim which is pending. So this gives us an idea about which particular claims need to be settled, so that the accounts payable team can take action accordingly. So let me click on edit. So you can mark multiple claims and process those. So how do we process this? So we have a overview grid, and we have a processing grid. So in this grid, you can see this is against a specific invoice which was processed. So now you have the qualified amount, and what is the amount which you are approving for this vendor. Let's say the broker is eligible for $760, but for off yearly, for this off yearly reason, I want to process only uh, let's say the quantity of 380. So for Ophelia, I want to process this claim. So I'm approving for $380. And then what I have to do is in the top, I need to click on approve. So the moment I approve, the claim will be generated for $380, and there will be a difference of another $380, which can be posted at maybe at the end of the year. So now you can see the expense journal is posted. This expense journal is posted based on the journal name which we have tagged in the accounts payable parameter. And also if I click on this, you can see there is a vendor invoice is posted, which means from the expense and charges account, which was an interim account, which gets debited, and it gets credited into the vendor account. So we are supposed to pay now this amount of $380 to the vendor, which is our broker, Acme Office Supplies. So how to check this? In if you go to accounts payable invoice, open vendor invoices. Let me filter it by the vendor account. Okay, this is the latest invoice. If I click on this invoice number, so you can see there is an amount of 380 which we are liable to pay to the vendor. So even you can check the original document and generate this invoice and then share it with your broker, so that the vendor will also have access to what is that their receivable from our side. So you can see this is the invoice which gets generated for the value of $380. So let me go back. So this is how you need to process the claim. And let's say in the, let me go back to broker and royalties, and once again let me go to broker claims. And right now you can see for the account related to Acme Office Supplies, so this is the one pending claim. Let's say 380 is the pending amount. So similarly you can process, let's say I want to process for 80 again. Once again you can approve it again, it will post another invoice for $80, and then the difference will be adjusted accordingly. So now the difference is 300. So like this you can also post multiple claims as you progress in your respective financial year, or you can accrue all those and process at the end of the year also. And let's say, but at the end of the year for some reason I want to close these claims, or knock off the claims, what are the pending claims against the specific customer, that is also possible. Then I need to directly close the claim, and by clicking on close, then the system will ask for the differential amount. So this is where I told you, when we parameterize that this differential amount of 300 will be posted, will be written off from the legal entity USMF. To write off that particular amount, you need to tag the appropriate differential journal in the parameter. So when this differential amount is posted, so the system is primarily going to use the journal which we have tagged over here. Using this journal, the system is going to post that differential amount and write it off. Let me go back to claims. So you can also configure this differential amount. Let's say if you go to broker and royalties, there is a reason code which you can configure. What is the reason why you are actually um, rejecting or closing this particular claim? So you can say that um, poor service, poor service, and you need to tag a main account. So this is the main account which will be used in order to knock off the $300, whatever the pending amount is. Let's go back to broker claims, and let me pick the Acme Office Supply. So this is the sales order and account number, and I don't want to process this $300 pending. Let me close this claim. Okay, nothing is marked. Okay, let me click on edit, mark this, then click on close. So here I need to provide the reason code. It's because of poor service I'm closing this claim. Let me click on OK. So this will write off the amount, and you can see there is no claim pending over here, and you can see the expense journal has been successfully posted, but you don't have another notification message which says the vendor invoice has been posted, because in this case we are not crediting it to the vendor invoice account, but instead we are writing off from the claim settlement. So let me go back to the slide. So this is what I have mentioned over here in the slide also. So we can approve and settle the broker claims, and at the same time the vendor invoice gets generated, and the whatever the expense accrued in your charge code, it gets debited from the expense account and credits in your vendor account. And at last you can also close the claim by not writing off from the settlements. So let me go to the next slide. So these are the steps which we have seen. First, we posted the sales invoice. When we posted the sales invoice, the broker claim is generated for the invoice line. As you have seen, for the specific invoice line, we can view the broker claim eligible for each and every line. The accrued charge that represents the broker fee is posted to the interim liability and expense account. So the moment you post the invoice, at that point in time, the broker fee is posted to the interim liability account. That's what we saw. The whatever the account we tagged it in the charge code, to that interim account it is posted, which is an interim expense account. And post broker claim, when we post the broker claim, and as a result of posting the broker claim invoice, the expense account has been debited. So once when we post the broker claim by going to the broker claims form and then approving it, whatever the amount, like $760 or $380, at that point in time from the expense account it gets debited, and then it gets credited into the vendor payable account, so that the legal entity USM office is liable to pay $760, or in this case $380, to the vendor through the broker Acme Office Supplies. And last we saw that post the difference of claim. If you want to post any difference of claim, then you need to create a difference code where you configure the main account which is used for writing off. The write off expense account number is specified in the main account field for the specific reason code on the differential reasons. So whatever the differences you have, if you want to write it off, instead of crediting into the vendor account, then make sure that you create a differential reason and tag the appropriate main account. So that's the whole idea of using brokers in Dynamics 365, where you involve brokers in order to secure customers, and you pay a very nominal fee as a commission to the broker in order to get those orders from the customers. So because since the brokers are created as part of a vendor account, and it's an account payable for the organization, that's why we are discussing it as part of our procurement and sourcing series, and it is one of the important concepts in Dynamics 365. So with that, we are coming to the end of this episode. In the next episode, we will also discuss in detail about royalties, which is also very similar concept like brokers. I'll strongly recommend you to check out the videos related to vendor rebate, charge codes, brokers, and royalties, so that you will be completely aligned, and you will be able to understand the fundamentals related to all these topics. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel D365 Talks, or follow my profile in LinkedIn. Thank you.